Roger. All right. I lost count already of the Downwind dialogues, but I'm here with actually one of my closest friends, and we grew up together. We're met in preschool, and it's fun to, you know, like we grew up surfing together, going to high school together, and then now we're voyaging through adulthood together and on the water, and I'm stoked, and it's one of those things. You know what I mean, and it's just like kind of everything with, like, say, like for example, jiu-jitsu. You try and get your best friends into it, and then they won't do it, or they won't. But somehow, you know, the people who are closest to you are stubborn about, you know, whatever it may be, jiu-jitsu, faith, politics, whatever. You know, not to get in that sense, but it's awesome to have like truly and genuinely one of my best friends downwinding, and I get to do that and just continue this long journey relationship with Liz. This is brother Kale. Kale, tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll talk about your foil journey, you know, and how it all started, and get into downwinding, bro.
Well, yeah, bro, thanks for having me on this thing. I grew up on Kauai High Street, between Kauai High Street, and then we lived in Kuli'o'o Valley for a couple years when I was real young, and then I really didn't get into the ocean and water type activities till I was like maybe 12. It was kind of around the time that I met back up with you at Marino.
Came back to Marino, yeah.
Yeah, we were skateboarding a lot, and then
those big Sector 9s, going to the beach, catching bus, yeah.
Yeah, and then got into like full-on boogie boarding, bodyboarding at Walls, and then Sandy's, and then that kind of just evolved into surfing. And then around that same time, we both kind of, I mean, I think you were casually paddling because of your dad, but we both really got into outrigger canoe paddling when we were like maybe 13, something, it was 12,
13, 14, yeah.
And then so I was at Huinalu, and prior to water sports, I grew up doing martial arts, swimming, and basketball. That was kind of like the jam. And then
black belt in karate,
yeah. Yeah. And then around the time we started really getting into the water, for me, a lot of those sports that I did growing up, kind of like fell out of doing those. Mm-hmm. Really got into canoe paddling and surfing.
It's funny, I actually think back about that. We did a lot of canoe paddling, and then we actually did the Kauai World Challenge together.
We did.
And I just remember that. I just remember that.
We got second to Ryan and Jack, yeah.
Yeah, and those guys were man-child back then. But
I still remember, but I couldn't sleep that night. That was like, I think, one of the first times I tried melatonin. I was all amped and nervous about that race. I didn't want to let you down, bro. I was like, oh my god. But
I you know what, and this is just like a big up to how good all the young watermen are these days, whether they're like young paddlers or like young foilers. You know, because 15 years ago, like for us to go and paddle upwind to Black Point, or like go out into the ocean by yourself, was like kind of like a huge deal, because I felt like being that young and in the time, going out into the ocean by yourself was kind of like a pretty adult thing, in a way, right? And then now you fast forward to like today's time. You know, you got like these amazing youth programs where these kids are, you know, 13, 14 years old and crossing channels in canoes, and you get these young kids foiling already, which is like, to me, like foiling is one of the most high level things that we can do, and it's so hard for an adult to like comprehend what's going on and understand what's going on. But you see these kids and like they pick it up so quick, and or even like, you know, like the Jack, Hose, and all these young kids who are crossing channels at such a young age and being exposed to this mature waterman lifestyle. It's pretty crazy, you know?
Yeah, it's changed a lot in the last 20 years or whatever.
20 years or so. But yeah, like it's funny. Like I said, reflecting back in how the Kauai Road Challenge or just paddling for us that time and that at our age was like such a big deal, you know.
But yeah, I mean, I felt like I got into surfing kind of late. Like by the time I felt like I was really getting into it, you had been kind of casually going for a while. So and like a lot of our friends, I feel like I was playing catch up. So I feel like high school was just like living and breathing surfing as much as I could. And then, yeah, around the time that what was it, like maybe junior year, we got real serious about paddling.
Yeah.
I bought your dad's pahoa. That had snapped in half.
Payment program, yeah.
Did I?
That's brutal, bro.
Yeah, I got real serious, and then I was paddling with Kai Chong and his dad. His dad was our coach. So that was kind of like the youth program for me was like
growing up in the water, but also being exposed to the athletic nature of like surfing and paddling and fitness and all that.
Yeah, so Kai Chong and his dad were all into paddling at a real serious level, like trying to go to the Junior Olympics with kayaking. And so by the time I kind of got in with them, I felt like same thing. I was kind of playing catch up, but yeah, I got real into it. And then we kind of had like a mini junior team that we did the Molokai Hoi when we were seniors, and we had to like the ILH, the private school paddling organization, was like banning us from paddling for high school because they were considering us professional athletes because we were doing that race. And it was this whole kind of like, instead of encouraging us and being supportive, it was kind of like the opposite. So and then Ryan Dolan and Pat, we went to school with Ryan and Pat Dolan, really
Olympic
awesome
kayakers,
yeah,
one
unreal paddlers. Yeah. So we all went to Marino, this small Catholic school, but I feel like our group of friends, we kind of had a lot of real talented, passionate ocean guys. Yeah.
Ocean athletes, yeah.
So you had like the Dolans that were doing their Lani Kai program. That inspired us. You kind of had your small group at Outrigger that was doing your thing, and I was at Huinalu doing our thing. So they're all real small groups. But
it was a great environment to like kind of thrust us into pursuing I want to say professionalism, but like pursuing like athletic achievements in the ocean.
Yeah. So that was cool. And trying to think where we're going from there. Yeah, so it was around that time that we got into, that was like the first time I got into downwinding, was like junior year.
Right.
And just like how a lot of guys now who just got into foiling within the last couple of years, where prior to that they didn't have any downwind experience. I just remember whenever the surf was flat, we were just like playing music or going to the skate park.
Yeah.
It was like there was nothing to do. Yeah.
Right.
And then once we got into canoe paddling, and like my eye for looking past the surf break and looking into all the
surf
deep ocean
outside,
energy, yeah,
the waves outside, yeah.
And then so that became like, it just kind of like how it is now. When it was windy, we were out doing down runs on the canoe, and then when the waves are good, we were surfing, and so it really made it nice to like
nice overall balance, yeah.
And then yeah, I felt like what was it, towards the end of high school we were all kind of like pushing each other, and then but shoot, I ended up going away for college, Humboldt State University, and got on to like hippie life and music, and yeah, and so for like 5 years I felt like I pretty much I'd surf up there a little bit, but it was mostly music. And
let me ask you this theoretical question. If foiling was around back then, could you imagine all the different like prone surf foil spots up in NorCal up there, or even the downwinding? Do you think it would have been like an amazing like place and area?
It's hard to say. The water where I went to school, it's almost Humboldt State University's in Arcata. It's like an hour south drive of Oregon. It's like 300 miles north
I mean,
of
Hood River would be kind of right there too, yeah.
Yeah, that I would have. But shoot, I never got my first car till I was what, like 23 or something, bro. I was riding my bike everywhere. Like,
That's right, bike man.
But it's hard to say because the coast up there.
Funny story about Kalen. This is how like dedicated and classic, just typical Kale. We would in college we had like this. We worked side jobs with this handyman, and we would have.
Oh, there he is.
We would have say like a job out in Kapolei or something. And I'm like, Kale, what, bro? You're like, we'll ride, we'll go. He's like, nah, I'll bike there. And it was like a 35-40 minute drive, and you're just so determined to bike, you know.
I was kind of stubborn, yeah. I was like.
But you were kind of doing triathlons back then too, yeah.
For a little while, I got into triathlons. I did the Honolulu triathlon when I was it? No, the Tin Man triathlon when I was like a senior, and I did pretty good.
In
and
high
so
school
I was
or in college?
Senior year in high school.
High school.
Key. What is that key?
Hanging up right here.
I think I got like 31st
Right
out
there.
of like 500 or 600 people, and so I was like, oh. And I didn't even have bike shoes. I was wearing my skateboard shoes, and my bike was like entry-level road bike. So I was kind of like, oh yeah, maybe
Kind of action.
this is kind of like, and but I think I trained that first year in college for the Honolulu triathlon, and I got disqualified because I like missed some turn or something, brah. And after that, I was like, bro, I trained like a whole year for this thing, and I got DQ'd on some small technicality. I was like, never mind this.
Not
You know?
ready.
But I don't know if it would have been, or if it'd be great for foiling, because the coast up there, it's real rugged and like it's
Beach breaky.
beach break, big onshore like sharky beach break. I think there'd be a few spots, but it's just kind of like it'd almost be like blown out, big, messy North Shore beach break. Okay, like trying to foil all the beach breaks on the North Shore or something, but like
yeah.
blown out and
Yeah.
big. Like on those days, nobody's going out. Like that's kind of how a lot of days were. So, and then downwinding up there, I feel like it's like a lot of the water is
Dark
just like
green and
murky
ominous,
and
yeah.
like sub 50 degrees. Like we were wearing like 5-6 mil wetsuits. I don't know. Not to say it's not possible. I think it just, I didn't have a car too, so I was kind of at the mercy of just going to the usual spots that we would go to.
Easily accessible. Yeah. So after that, when you came back, how did you get into foiling? Tell us about your foiling journey and how that started.
When I came back, I was like
Oh, you got back into paddling, yeah?
Yeah, I got back into paddling. That was when the Pueo had been out for a couple of years, but you were riding for Kamanu. You were like one of the top dogs in the one-man scene and six-man scene. And so naturally, like, you know, us being as close as we are, I was like, shucks, I gotta get back into paddling. But it was so discouraging because I was like, oh my gosh, bro, like the last 5.5 years, I haven't really been doing this. And meanwhile, you guys were just like getting so much better. So when I jumped back in, I was like, oh, brah. Like, but yeah, I jumped on one of your training programs, and then I think that first year I came back, I did the solo. That was the only time I did the one-man solo, and it was like 20-mile-an-hour headwinds.
Oh, brutal.
I think that's the last time you did it too, yeah.
That was a
departing solo, yeah.
Yeah, broke the camel's back. That broke my back, and I was just like,
oh boy. Yeah. So that was kind of rough, but I was stoked that I finished it.
mm-hmm.
That any of us, and then even the people that didn't finish it, that was rough, bro. Like, and that's one thing. Like, after that experience, it made me really rethink. It wasn't exactly like training for that Honolulu triathlon where you spend all this time training and then you're just like, you get this shocker type of experience. But it was like, wow, you can put all this time and energy and money in, and then you might get like a pretty. And so for foiling, there's no way you could have done it because it got up to like, I think up to close to 20, maybe not 20 miles, 15?
15 to 20.
15
but I remember
southwest
that
winds.
channel and just standing on the beach, and you could just see white caps coming towards you. You're just like, oh my god.
I think it was Nate Loyola. He was like, bro, you want some ibuprofen? Like he was like pre-dosing ibuprofen. Yeah, preloading.
Wow.
I think that was, it was. Anyways,
But
so yeah.
The I will say, because I've done a handful of channel crossings, especially the Molokai solo, is those downwind conditions are obviously the most favorable and the best scenarios possible. But reflecting back, man, I'm probably most proud of those conditions where I was able to make it all the way across, either in oil slick, glassy, flat conditions or headwinds. Even though it was completely miserable, I'll look back now and be like, wow, like that is like money in my back pocket. I can, whenever I come across any hard moment or obstacle in life or athletics, I can be like, you just got to dig deep and just do it and finish it. And especially when you're out there in the channel and you're looking left and right and guys are jumping on their escort boats to quit and pull out, I mean but to just continue and persevere on, it was one of my most memorable like accomplishments is enduring those tough things. And we probably have those in foiling too, right? Like, kind of crazy that we send it on small days and how difficult it was, or even looking back at like the learning process and how frustrating or unfavorable that all was. But you look back and like, it's fun what we're doing, but like what we're doing now and making runs and exploring and going fast and riding smaller gear. But you look back and it was fun to struggle and kind of worry, like, bro, this Hawaii run might take me 2.5-3 hours, bro, or like, like have like real butterflies about going on a run. And it was cool, to be, experienced watermen or adults and just feel so nervous like that,
Yeah, so I guess going towards foiling, I continued canoe paddling in the one man for a couple of years. It's been a long time since I did the 6-man, but just got more and more busy trying to like make a living and do things. So I started to phase out of being able to put in the kind of time you need to like
stick with it, or stay with the competition, or stay with the scene,
and to stay with the kind of progression that you want to see,
right.
And then so when I was in ocean safety, I think I was working Hanauma Bay that year. I remember seeing that video like everybody talks about of Kai Lenny downwinding on the Nash.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
it actually just popped up on a feed recently. I think I saw Andrew Gibbons repost it, Kai, and it was like, just that footage of him riding, like basically he took like a Nash board, chopped the tail off, and like was foiling that thing.
I think that was 2016, I think.
Probably.
Somewhere around there. I remember seeing that and just being like, wow, like just mind blown, like all of us.
Yeah.
Who especially those of us who have downwinded and we know what that experience is like. To see, and then I can't remember if I saw how long it took, but just seeing how efficient it was for him to downwind like that, and it was just like, whoa. But at the time, none of that gear was available. I think one of the first guys who was early to the scene, there's a handful, but I know Jeff Chang was one of them, and we used to paddle with Jeff Chang. Like I remember doing Hoi Kai runs and reverse runs with Jeff, and this was over 10 years ago, and Jeff was fast, man.
Yeah.
He's still a hammer, and is he 68 now?
Shout out to Jeff Chang, man. He's the godfather out here in Hawaii wet feet sports, and we call him the dope dealer because he carries all the brands of foils and he distributes it to all of us, and he's really, really key and influential for the foil community here in Hawaii. And he's 68 years old, young man, and he's still sending runs with us, and
Jeff is a legend.
Jeff's a legend, and whenever I have older friends who think that they can't do it, or they don't want to get into it because like I'm not too old, or like I'm not young enough. I bring up guys like him and John Hearn as great examples. You just like, foiling is genuinely for everybody, bro. Like if you have the mindset and a great attitude and willingness to learn, you'll do it.
So I remember running into Jeff around town after I saw that video, and I think I'd seen pictures of his canoe up for sale and different things. I'm like, what, Jeff, you're not paddling anymore? He's like, no, I've been getting into foiling, and it was just, there were a bunch of different times where I ran into him, and he was like, yeah, you should really, think about, and I was just like, so Jeff, how much is this going to cost? Like,
right.
And Brittany, my wife, would be like next to me when I'd bump into him in Costco, and she's like looking at me like, $3,000, like no way, man, like, and then so fast forward, I guess, to 2000, I think it was 2019. That's when I think you finally got a hold of, was it Kirk Ziegler's Lift 250 surf or something?
That's when I bought one. So yeah.
But even before you bought one, I think you were borrowing.
I was borrowing, and we had one lifeguard buddy who had one. And like I said, I saw those Kailani videos too, but I was still like really motivated to paddle, and I was like skeptical. I'm like, nah, I bet Carell could beat him or keep up with him, and so I was like skeptical, and I was looking at it as like, I remember it was like I was skeptical. I had no interest in it.
Yeah, and with our shortboard and OC1 backgrounds, I felt like SUP just wasn't like that cool. Like we in the one man we moved faster. In the surf, like it just, a lot of times the SUPs would hog the waves, and so there was that kind of like, I don't want to do SUP, or like
back then it looked more of like an evolution of SUP than an actually brand new sport, which was foiling, right? And we look at it now with foiling is a sport, and we have all these sectors of foiling, right? Wing, prone, wing, SUP, kite, And it's
so yeah, I remember you. I think you called me up one day and you were all jazzed, bro. Like, oh, you gotta try this thing, this and that. Yeah. Sim does this every time, bro, with whatever it is, like new song that you want to jam, or you surfed a new spot and it was like all time or whatever the case. So I was like, yeah, okay, like, yeah, one of these days I'll come out with you, and then you just full on like finally convinced me to go out to Tongs. I remember we took out, I can't remember if it was a rescue board or a wave storm, and I think it was a rescue board, and we like tandem paddled out to Tongs with like with the foil underneath our bellies, and then and then my mindset was, I was just like, everybody says how hard this is, I'm gonna get them. And then just like everyone, I think I maybe stood up that day on that first day, but I could tell like, okay, this is gonna take some time to figure out, and that was on the Lift 250 surf, so that thing had so much. I remember just getting like launched. Bro. Yeah. But I went out, I think. Oh, remember that one time we went out to Diamond Head, bro? You almost decapitated me, bro. I think you got the foil stuck in the reef that day, and it like ripped out the boxes or something.
Yeah.
You were like coming at me, bro, and I like tried to duck dive, but like I remember opening my eyes and like seeing the foil.
I actually do remember that. Yeah. No, that was actually I think on record, I was the first person to break a foil board from John Amundsen. And it was like, he was like the only guy making foil boards too, and we, nobody was making foil boards. Maybe at that time it was John and Robin, and everybody else was just home shaping boards or cutting old boards and doing stuff. But yeah, I remember, I don't even think we were trying to do
I think we were just foil surfing. But anyways, bro, I ended up getting one of those 40-liter Nubby Amundsen production boards, and this was like 2019, I think.
Yeah.
And then I bought a Nash thrust setup. It was like and aluminum mast. That thing was huge. I think it was like the thrust large or something. And I still remember having some good days on it. I remember taking out to like Kaupo by myself and like getting some good rides and out to toes and like but then yeah, I think the waves were good on the South Shore off season for a while, so I just kept shortboarding and I was kind of like I was remodeling our kitchen, so I just didn't have a lot of time to like go consistently.
So that's the big thing is like, especially in learning, if you don't have the luxury of time or like just the like sheer motivation, it can be something that you can kind of like feather out of, you know. I just started. So I work as a emergency room nurse right now, and I just started. I went back to school for nursing. It was like my first degree was environmental science and music, and then I went back to school for nursing. And so I just started working as a nurse, and then I was remodeling our kitchen. So like busy.
Yeah, and our son Kameha, he was like 1 year old maybe or something, not even one. And so we're just kind of busy, and it was just easy for me to do what, like, I think a reason why a lot of guys don't get into it is it's just like, bro, I want to go out and have fun and do what I know best, you know.
Right.
So
like if you only have that short window of time, you might as well enjoy rather than like.
Yeah. So I think I had the setup for maybe like 6 months, but I only went like maybe once a month.
Mm-hmm.
And
so what was that first session where like you remember where you got like super infatuated with flying?
I mean, I remember during that like 6 month period where I was only going once a month, I remember having this one session out at Toes where just that length of ride and how quiet the ride was and the glide, and I remember getting kind of hooked, but it was still like, the waves are so good, I just want to go shortboard. But what really I remember, what kind of got me hooked was, I think I started seeing you guys really getting better, like pumping around, and this was pre-Lift 170. This was, I think you guys might have still been on like the Lift
Surf 250s, yeah,
or something, yeah. But you guys were connecting more, and I just remember guys who were just getting into it already, like starting to make progress beyond where I was at, and I was like, oh shucks, like I don't want to get left behind again, like with the paddling and stuff. I was like, shucks, okay, let me get the. So I think I continued riding the Nash a little bit, but then I kind of saw the limitations of that. I started getting the feel for the pumping back out and connecting like a 2-for-1, and then I ended up selling that and getting an MFC Hydros.
I remember that.
And that was an improvement for sure from the Nash. But I remember sending our first Kaiko's run. I think by that point you guys had the Lift 170s.
I asked for
you, like just got them, and I still had my MFC Hydros.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember like by that point you guys, I think, were making the Kaiko's runs. You just kind of started it, but it was maybe like a few weeks or not even a couple months in. I think you guys were already like figured it out, and you were just all like, bro, just take your 1440 MFC Hydros, bro, just send them, put on the big tail, everything. Like I was like, okay, we're going. Bro, that was way too much wing. I mean, now 1440 is like major, yeah. So I remember trying to get a chip at Kaiko's. Just getting launched.
Yeah.
And but being stubborn and stuff, I just kind of like kept at it. I remember finally making one going from Kaiko's to like Lighthouse or something like that. And I started kind of seeing because we knew how to, prior to flying, we knew how to downwind from the canoes, but like it's just being at that height too. You know, everything looks bigger when you're sitting down. So being at that height, and then just the quicker decision making, and but yeah, it was around the time I think I got the Lift 170 where that's when I like started making those Kaiko's runs one shot, and that was 2020, I think. And then from there it was just kind of like I rode Lift foils till like 2024, and just kind of went with the progression that Lift was doing with like, the 170 to what was next, the 120, I think, right?
120, yeah.
And then shoot, I mean, guys are still talking about, I just listened to a podcast recently, guys are still riding the 120. Yeah, I mean, bro, I was pretty much kind of doing what you guys were doing, but just kind of behind the scenes. I wasn't active on social media, anything, I would just kind of like go with you guys kind of behind the scenes, like in a band, the drummer, you don't really see him like most of the time. That was kind of, I was just happy with that, you know, and still am, like, yeah, and then the sup kind of came along, and similar type of thing, like it was like, shucks, like here we go again, like I was excited to get into it, but what really held me back was I could tell that the board situation was not really figured out.
Yeah.
And I could see how much you guys were struggling, and I was like, bro, I don't want to drop like $2,000 on something that is going to change in like 6 months, or like, and that kept kind of going on. So I think it took me like a little over a year before, you guys have been doing it for maybe about a year or so before I kind of fully was like, okay, like
try,
yeah. And then I remember trying the infamous 60 E2 Kalama, the one that gets talked about all the time, the freaking, what did Phil call it, the paint machine or something? I mean, I guess now if we jumped on, we could probably, with what we know now and everything, we could probably make it work and stuff, but it was just...
That would be a great hood riverboard, I feel like.
Yeah, and then with a bigger wing.
I would be excited to try it over there.
Because I was using it with like the 170, I think, the Lift 170.
Mm-hmm.
It still felt like the boxes needed to be a little more forward. But yeah, so I bought your E2 Kalama 60, was it 18 or 8? No, by 20. 60 by 20, 78 liters or something, yeah.
Crazy.
And bro, I remember like tweaking my back a couple of times, just like trying to like paddle that thing around in the surf and catch waves. It was hard, you know, and like I remember trying to send a Hawaii Chiron on that, and it was hard, bro. So
that's crazy to me, because I think the last couple times I used that board, you'd stand up and you'd be like into your shins, deep in the water, and then you'd really have to paddle hard to get that board to surface the water and then to like plane. And I remember going so hard and paddling so hard that if you're paddling that hard just to stay balanced and get like incremental like forward movement, if you didn't get a bump within the first 10 seconds, you'd have to sit down out of just pure exhaustion. And it wasn't like the boards that we are on now, where we can stand up, get to our feet, and kind of like lightly paddle and wait for that opportune time. And it's crazy that we all learned on that, and I totally forgot. And it's actually a great, looking back, it's for those of you who are watching and thinking about getting into the sport, that was actually, you know, I get poked at or made fun of, or just being like, I'm always hyping people up to go, right? And it's like, I was probably like egging, bro, you just gotta get it, you just gotta send it, like,
bro, that's exactly what you tell us.
Like, bro.
These are how the majority of our conversations go with Sim. Kikai will tell you, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm always encouraging, but it's almost like a fine line, because like, yeah, like, bro, if you know, especially in that specific time frame, it probably was more advantageous to wait and kind of let things progress.
Because I remember having all these conversations with you, bro, and I just remember how hard it was. So I was like, I got a lot. I think at that point we just had our second child. I think I was still like busy renovating our place, and I was just like, bro, like I'm happy sending Kaiko's runs. Like, it's fast, easy. I still will like just jog back to my car. It's only like a 2-mile jog. You just don't need to depend on anybody, you know?
Yeah.
And so yeah, finally I just saw you guys like doing the Hawaii Kai runs. I was like, oh, okay. I sent one Hawaii Kai run on the prone, and I made it, but it was like kind of stressful. It was one of those, like, I think that week or something, the winds were just like nuking. This was like 2021. And everybody was just like, we're doing it, and all peer pressure. And so like I sent it on one of those days, but like it wasn't like after doing it I was like, yeah, I want to do it some more. It was like, I'm good, bro.
I got one under my belt. I don't know if I want to do that again.
Yeah. So I could see how the sup would be nice to be in the middle of the bay, just like if you fell or if you got close to falling, just having that peace of mind to be able to get back up. So by that point, I think you got the V1 Barracuda when they first came out, and I could see like, oh, okay, that thing looks like it's working a lot better. I didn't want to drop $2+ grand or however much it was at the time, so I was like, okay, I'll just start on your E2 board. You started on that, but then after struggling for a while, I was like, okay, bro, like, and then I think around that time, after having it for maybe like 6 months or something, the V1 productions were coming out, and so I picked up one of those, and then that's kind of where like I really started going more consistently. And I still have that board. I love that board, and yeah, it's kind of just been a an addiction, an evolving addiction, you know. And then so that was what, maybe, was that 2 years ago? I can't remember. I want to say maybe 2 years ago, ish. So it's been like about doing the sub thing for like 2-ish years or so.
It's crazy, and I always say this, and it's, you know, it feels like ages ago, but really 2 years ago is not that much of a time span. But the learning curve in foiling happened so quickly that even what we were riding 6 months ago is like to where we are now. I'd be like, wow, can't believe I was riding this 770 as a daily, and I was like scared to ride the 680.
Right,
know?
right.
Or even for me, it's like, you know, I was last year racing on, you know, big wings, and what I've been riding these days, I'm like, bro, I can't believe, like, what a waste last year, right? You know, not a waste, but like, it's just like everything evolves so quickly, and the way we get better. And
I think what we have to remember too is that we can say, oh, because I feel like I've been foiling a lot longer than, what is it, like 5 years or something now. Because it just feels like it's this continuation of shortboarding and paddling, what we've already been doing. It doesn't feel like we're I mean, I guess there are some people that start really from scratch,
right,
but most of us have some kind of background, so it just feels like this extension of what we've already been doing for years, you know.
Right.
So we talk about like people are black belts in foiling or these different things, and it's not like, and then you might say, oh, you can't become a black belt in jiu-jitsu in like a year or 2 years. Yeah, but then if you look at how long guys have been surfing or paddling, it's like they've been doing this for freaking half their life.
It's like you can see when somebody has a very natural relationship with the ocean, the board, their style, their ease, and it's yeah, man. And that's why I love these podcasts. Is everyone has a unique story and a unique journey, and you reflect back and you think, you know, of all the stepping stones that you've encountered and overcome. It's what makes us great foilers today. You know, it's like, you know, for you riding that Nash, you know, and then for us riding the E2s, right, you know, and then for us, you know, being comfortable and doing downwind coastal runs on our canoes, us growing up on surfboards, you know, us riding skateboards as little kids, just kind of like honing in like stance and just kind of sensitivities, you know. It's actually a really fascinating journey and like a nice overall picture of what foiling is, you know.
And yeah, so bro, you know me, you always joke how I've had like a million different jobs, bro. Like I was in the plumbers union, I was like doing environmental work, I worked ocean safety, I was like in education, now I'm working as a nurse. But even though they all seem like these completely different things, which in a way they are, but there's a lot of, and you hear when I listen to Eric Atkinson talk on Progression Podcast, I think he really tries to emphasize how all these different disciplines that we have and backgrounds, if you take the right approach and have the right mindset, they can all kind of help you in the new things that you undertake, you know. And so I think anybody getting into foiling, they have to just capitalize on what their strengths and what they already have going for them. I think, you know, and just remind yourself, like, bro, you're not starting completely from scratch. Even if you don't have a huge water background, like, what about your athletic background? What about your music background? What about any kind of background where you have to like persevere and you have to learn something, you know, like.
And that's what it is, bro. Like, people think that foiling is a very athletic sport, and it is, right? It's very demanding, but like I said earlier, it's such a mental thing, and that's why, you know, a lot of us who foil end up actually, and this is like not a humble brag, but we all, most of us are very happy, genuine human beings, because it's such a healthy thing to humble yourself either in the foiling learning process or the downwinding that, and it's such a strong mental exercise that it just makes us really like mentally healthy, gives us a nice strong like peace of mind, and just kind of a nice hunger to just continue striving, and for me too, like KO's always been like behind the scenes, and that's why I kind of want to bring you on, just to kind of not like put recognition on your name, but like, we all foil in the crew, and like you've made such good strides in speed and ability this year, and as the way that I look at it, it's kind of like, okay, when you learn, it probably takes like a year to kind of like really work out all the kinks of foiling and getting better and dialing in your gear, dialing in your technique, and then limiting the mistakes. And then probably that next year is when you can, if you want to, you can start looking things in like a racing competition or training lens, and really push yourself, whether it be racing or like sending long adventurous runs. And I'm excited for you, because even though you're probably capable last year to race, bro, like it's probably good and I'm excited for you this year to race, and not to be like, oh, I told you so, KO's fast, but like I'm excited to see you kind of grow into that space, and really not turn heads, but like be like, bro, like, oh, this is KO guy, he's fast. I'm like, bro, we know, like we already knew,
We'll see, bro. I tell, and maybe I say some of this just to like not, I don't know, to have the doggy door option, but like we'll see, bro. Like, I mean, I signed up for the M2M and M2O this year. This is like the first time I'm trying to like more consistently train like.
Yeah, so we've actually had very good conversations about training, recovery. KO studied like Lomi, which is Hawaiian practice of massage and body wellness, so he's super knowledgeable about all kinds of stuff. So even for me, like when I threw up my back, I'm like consulting KO all the time, like, bro, let you stretch, roll, massage, and he's been my consultant. So, bro, for me, I'm excited for you, and this year, not to be like, I told you so, KO is fast, but to just kind of like see you enter the space of
we'll see, bro. I mean,
your best form.
I'm signed up for the races, and there's that part of me that's like, bro, if the conditions aren't looking that good, and it's looking like how it did that year we did the solo and the one man, bro, I'm not even gonna hesitate.
Bro, me too. Me too, right? I mean,
because a lot of one of the reasons why I didn't continue on with the races last year was, my back was giving me trouble.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I would say, one of the main reasons. So this year I'm just trying to like do stuff.
So what have you done this year differently? As you, like I said, there's a point in foiling where like, okay, you're past that hard phase, and then now like it's like you're in this phase where like, okay, I want to focus on maybe going faster, getting a better average speed, paddling up quicker, taking out smaller wings, going out in tougher conditions. What are some of the things that you've been like focusing on this year, or thinking about? Or,
well, obviously the pop-up is still like, I was just on the phone with Kick High before I came here. I was telling him like, bro, I mean, anybody that knows me well, like I'm pretty transparent. Like I'm not into like playing games, and I just tell them like what's up, and like, bro, the pop-up even after 2 years is still a challenge. But I think some of that too is that it's like as soon as we get it dialed,
we're always challenging and ride smaller wings,
right? So I think it's like as soon as we get it dialed on like a 800 size wing, and you see the next guy going smaller, we're already trying to go to the next size. And it seems like every size you go down, you are confronted with the weak spots in your pop-up. Like you might think your pop-up's super solid on a 800 wing, and then you go to a 700 and you're like, oh shoot, like I thought I had this, like what happened?
Yeah.
And then same thing, you go down to like, now I'm trying to pop up I was trying to flat water the 600 the other day, and just like humble pie, bro, like, yeah. But so yeah, I'm trying to definitely put more energy and attention towards the pop-up, And then my wife started lifting weights, like, I don't know when it was, like maybe a little less than a year ago. So I went with her to the gym one day just to like appease her, brah, and like, oh yeah, I'll do a workout with you, brah. I don't even know the last time I did deadlifts, like 20 years ago or something, brah, and I was like trying to do, brah, she was like deadlifting more than me, and I was like, oh my gosh, brah, like, so it kind of got me motivated to, I was lifting, I would say I lift weights like maybe once a week, if like, twice, I aim for twice a week, but like, and I'm just trying to do like, simple like free weight type of stuff, maybe 8 to 12 reps or something, maybe 50, up to 15 reps. And
what are some of the body or the muscle group areas that you're trying to target?
I would say I'm kind of doing general. Like, I don't think I'm being super specific, trying to do anything too crazy, like high weight, low rep kind of stuff, or like anything too fancy. Just, you know, hitting all the major muscle groups. I think that's the thing that's helped the most in terms of my body not feeling like my back leg and my lower back above my back leg feeling tweaked.
Just kind of preventing injury. Yeah.
That, and then really just dialing in my gear more, where like I'm pushing as evenly as possible with both feet, where it's not back leg heavy. And so I think just dialing in gear a little bit better, trying to be consistent with whether it's lifting weights or some kind of like strength training program. I mean, shoot, I'm 35, you're 36 now. Like, I think up until maybe your like late 20s, early 30s, you can kind of like wing it a little more, but it feels like every year, a couple years now, I'm humbled a little more easily, you know. So
so what do you think, and this is tying it back to like Coach Blaine Chong and your kayaking with those guys, or even like your Tin Man triathlon sort of like training, what are some of the things that you can, your knowledge or your wisdom from there, that you're pulling from that and you're kind of like applying it to foiling, or in order to enhance and continue your progression or achieve higher?
Shoot, that time that I trained with Coach Blaine was so long ago. That was almost 20 years ago, bro. I would say the way that I train now is very different than how I trained back then. I'm much more, I noticed the biggest gains when I came back from college and I was doing one-man canoe races. I noticed the biggest gains were when I was doing, so I was trying to figure out different ways to train. So I was just reading all these different books, and like, was when I came across this guy Phil Maffetone. I think a number of people who've gotten into different forms of endurance training have probably heard his name, but he helped train that triathlete Mark Allen, who won like the Ironman like 6 times. And the kind of the biggest thing about their type of training is like the majority of your training, and I listened to that podcast with Dave Galvin, kind of echoes that. It's like the majority of your training should be at a more moderate, like zone 2, zone 3 type heart rate. And it's so easy for us, like every time we do a Hawaii Kai run, to just be like, bruh, everybody's racing, I'm gonna race. And I think that's good here and there, but I think every time, it's hard, bro. It takes discipline to train at a lower intensity. So I would say,
I remember, bro, for me, when we used to train with heart rate monitors and go canoe paddling, and we'd have it linked up and we'd set it up in zones of where like, okay,
it's just always beeping. You have to take off the.
It's like, you're trying to sing in the water. Shut up.
You only get one speed, bro.
Oh, bro. Or I used to hate that.
So yeah, I would say, ever since maybe 2015 is when, 2014, 2015, when I came across a couple of the books that I was reading by that guy Phil Maffetone, and I started noticing the biggest gains when I stopped trying to go hard all the time, and when I tried to really be disciplined about keeping my effort more moderate. And I think when you're not pushing balls to the walls all the time, you can pay more attention to technique and what you're feeling. I think when you're exerting yourself so hard all the time, all the technique starts to fall apart, and like you're just, so that's what and it's hard when you're downwinding, because when you're chasing stuff, and when the conditions are good, you don't really want to hold back.
Well, downwinding is unique because it's such a drastic change of pace all the time. Right, you go from cruising and standing and recovering and bring your heart rate back down to like chasing. Whereas like canoe paddling, you can kind of like settle into like a rhythm and like really control yourself.
So that being said, I will say I don't know if this style of training is the best for foiling. However, I do think for overall health and injury and how you feel afterwards, to not train like in the super high heart rates all the time, I think is healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think it's better for the physiology of your body to like train it to burn fat versus glycogen all the time.
Mm-hmm.
When you're in those higher heart rates, it's like you're burning sugar, you start craving sugar more, you know.
Yeah.
So
What's funny is I remember my last go of really training hard in a one-man season. It was like I was having like the team dad comeback. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna show these young kids, and I was like training hard, and I was going twice a week with this guy Travis Grant. The Aussies watching might know him. He was like a sub athlete and a canoe paddle athlete from Australia, Hammer. And
super nice guy.
Super nice guy, and I still give him heat to this day. Because it's like, Travis, you should be foiling and downwinding. You'd be one of the best in the world if you just do it. Do it, bro. Like, you're like, you won Molokai on a SUP, and you won Molokai on a canoe. You know, like this is your sport, bro. You know, but he, you know, like I said, you can't drag a horse to drink water. You know, and this is what it is. You know, but I remember training with him, and our approach was okay, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it was like intense, and it was like sprint workouts, and it was like brutal. But yeah, I was only training 2 days a week, and maybe one extracurricular day you'd go for like a light, long one. But like I remember being in the best shape that I was in my paddling career. As far as speed, but I'm not entirely sure how I would have done in Molokai, like a long endurance race. I think Molokai might have been canceled that year, or I think the winds went light and I was over it already. But it was like, it's cool that was like a format of training that was like entirely different. Not to say like yours right, this is wrong. I was just, it's cool to look at the different approaches. I remember even this guy from Tahiti,
like 7 hours, 1 day a week, or some kind of thing like that. Yeah.
Champion, legendary paddler George Cronstedt, and he would win these races. Yeah, and he would paddle, I think once or twice a week. He'd go out one session and he'd try and get 6 or 7 hours, and then he would rest 3 or 4 days and do it again.
I remember you told me that. Yeah, it kind of blew my mind. I think the takeaway is there's maybe one way of training is a little better, one way is not as good, but I think consistency is the big thing.
Consistency, doing what works for you.
We're doing what works for you, and now at 35, I don't think we recover as quick as we did when we were in our mid-20s.
Yeah.
And not to like keep banging this thing about like, oh, we're at a disadvantage. Yeah, because I'm sure the young guys are tired of hearing it. Like, bro, you guys making more excuses. Like, whatever.
Well, see, when you're 35, bro.
But so I think bro, like I work tonight and I work the next 3 nights and I work 12-hour shifts. So like coming off of, it's hard to get any training in the next like 3 days. And so for me, a lot of times I just try to, after a night shift, I just try to jump in the water, and even if I'm in the water for half an hour, that's like some activity.
It's productive, yeah.
Whereas like, bro, I cannot see myself after working all night tonight coming home and doing any kind of other sort of like cross training, because it's just not fun. So like I can't see myself running, going on exercise bike, lifting weights. So I'd rather just like, I don't know how the weather's gonna be, but tomorrow morning I'm probably just gonna try to jump in and go prone foil or sub foil in the surf for like minimum 30 minutes.
Yeah.
If I get 45 minutes or an hour, but that works for me, you know, like, and that's the best. I'm not gonna like quit my job so I can make sure I train this specific amount every day. You know, like.
I mean, this is what's beautiful about the sport is like, you know, we all got lives, we all got families, and everyone has different scenarios. You know, you got people who are young and in college and they have all the time, and then we got us guys who have lives, but you know, we're all trying to achieve the same thing, which is our best performing self on foil, and we're doing it in various ways. You know, like we have to maybe be a little bit more methodical with our training and recovery, and whereas like, you know, the younger guys, they're just gas on the pedal, you know, pedal on the gas and just
I gotta say,
you know?
one of the things that's to me encouraging though, seeing kind of like being on the sidelines and watching you guys over the last 2 years, is I know you foil a lot, but it seems like you haven't really been that you know, disciplined, or not disciplined, but emphasize cross training or non-foil type activities for the last couple of years. I mean, I don't know, maybe you've been doing some spooky stuff I don't know about, but like it seems like you've been able to do all these races and do pretty well without really like doing a whole lot of like major training. And I think that's one of the beauties of foiling, is like whether we're going for a prone foil, I mean, granted the shuttling for subfoil adds up time wise, but like it's pretty time efficient. Even doing the solo is like, assuming the conditions are decent, it's pretty time efficient. Like you don't have to be doing these ridiculously long training sessions. Like if it's going to be a 2 to maybe 2.5, whatever, 3 hour race, it's kind of long, but like
I remember paddling,
compared
bro.
to paddling, like
I would have to go on the weekends, and it was like
2 hour sessions.
I'd have to carve out like, oh, I need 2.5, 3 hours today.
Yeah.
So,
So seeing that you're able to do the races the last couple of years and pretty much do them without getting injured and have respectable finishes, like I feel like it's encouraging to be like, you know what, yeah, try to train as structured and, you know, as we can, but for me, I like to keep I got 2 kids, you got 3 kids, we work full time. Like I want something that's like fairly simple. Like I remember when we were training for one man, the solo, like 10 plus years ago, bro, I'd have to write out each workout on like a piece of paper and tape it to my boat, because it was so like this number of sprints, like 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Yeah. It was just like too complicated for me. And even though I did it, it was like nowadays, bro, we didn't have kids then, I didn't have a mortgage, I didn't have a full-time job, so it was like do that. But now it's like, bro,
I have 30 minutes.
Yeah, or whatever. Yeah.
I think that's always too, like for me, that's my biggest recruiting line to people who are canoe paddlers, and I'm like, hey man, like bro, foiling, you doing Kaiko's run, and it's 7 to 8 minute run. Like you get in all that, you get in your fix of catching all the bumps, and it can be super time efficient. You know?
On the flip side though, I think that does sometimes that is a challenge, because I think sometimes we want to get more time on like an hour downwind run.
Yeah.
So for us,
we're limited on Oahu, just unless you drive to the North Shore, of getting a long run in.
Yeah.
But
anyways, yeah. So that's
how we navigate it. You know, what are some of your where do you see yourself? Or what are some of your goals or expectations, just for your foiling or just for your racing? Do you have any, like, what do you, not to be like, you know, like, you know, not to have that doggy door exit where you're like, you know, but like for me, like personally, like, you know, I want to ride a smaller wing this year. I want to do well. I want to finish in the top 15. I know I'm capable of doing that. It's just every year I've had some sort of obstacle or something. So, and for me, it's becoming a better racer. You know, I already know that I'm very comfortable in the bumps and in the ocean. It's just okay. I need to continue becoming a better racer, and that's why I still do it. You know, and that's why we continue to challenge ourselves to get better. But what are some of the things for you looking at?
I guess kind of like what we were saying earlier.
It can even be beyond racing, you know, whether it's adventures or just going
right,
to
you know
Hood
me,
River or
I'm pretty
whatever?
simple, bro. I'm a homebody. For me, it's just with Downwind specifically, just getting a fast pop up, because that's still probably my biggest challenge. Once I'm up, I usually
Do really well.
yeah, but it's sometimes I'll get stuck for like quite a little while. So popping up quicker. I think as far as the actual downwinding itself, just continue to ride efficiently and pay attention to those subtle things, like making sure you're not pushing too hard with the back leg or standing. Always
Adjusting stance.
yeah, just always listening to your feet and what you're feeling, and searching after that sweet spot. That slightly moving sweet spot. It feels good now, and then it's like, oh, it's not there anymore, and then just sometimes just shuffling back like an inch is like, oh, there it is again, and then just based on how fast you're going, what foil you're riding, whatever the case.
For me this year, it's been crazy because I'm in constant pursuit, whether it's new gear coming out or like some of the things that I've been like trying to find or search this year is just mast placement, shimming the mast plate, shimming the tail wings, and it's it's a continuous journey of learning.
I think also just having a good, healthy balance between doing this activity and then life, because sometimes even just if it's leading up to one of John Hearn's races, I'm like, oh god, like I'm supposed to work the night before, I'm gonna call out sick and stuff, or that kind of thinking, right? And where it's just like it's in the big scheme of things, and that was, I remember when you first had the first year you had the Voyager race, you were like twisting my arm, bro, and I was like, I don't like race, bro, I don't want the stress. Like it reminds me of when I used to play music a lot, of like playing gigs. There's like that love and hate of like the love of having this thing to work towards, and then put all this time to polish yourself, and then just see if all that time pays off. But then there's that hate of like when you put all these expectations on yourself, it's rarely gonna, I mean, sometimes everything plays out exactly how you want, but usually there's monkey wrenches and all kinds of stuff, especially as with the kinds of lives we have with kids and full-time jobs and injuries and this and that. And so it's just, and then I think a lot of times we have higher expectations for ourselves than we're able to execute, maybe, and then it's like this shucks. And so
and that's why, like, I remember early on when we first did the Maui to Molokai, when there was like 7 of us, I was always like, like it was a race, but it's like, it's too early to like box us into a race. Like all 7 of us are crossing Maui to Molokai. This is like an achievement for all of us, bro. And to like, for people who've gotten into downwind foiling and downwind foiling and now like entering the racing space, I would say take that first year or first couple years and don't worry about what's happening around you or the competition or who's faster or this or that. Worry about yourself. And it's like, that's the journey. It's like you're challenging yourself, you're not challenging the other racers, and I think
it's really difficult to do, even though we tell ourselves and like, okay, let's do that. And so like you said, I mean, getting back to like I would say a big one is, aside from the pop-up, is just really enjoy doing the activity. As whatever cliche as it sounds, it's like the focus on results and on wanting to like give rubs to the guys that you've been finishing your races next to, like all that can really sometimes overpower just the,
it either drives you or gives you too much stress. Disappointment.
So just trying to constantly find that
flow,
that healthy balance of like keeping it fun.
That's the other thing too, right? It's like because we used to be competitive canoe racers, we can kind of draw back on our racing exposure and experiences and the psychology to racing, and kind of be mature about it, or be like more measured. Whereas this is, like I said, this is a new sport that's thrusting these people into racing, competitive racing, and a lot of these people are, feeling these psychological things, racing psychological things for the first time, and even for me, because I have high expectations for myself, and I have to continuously work on staying composed, but like racing and like being fun and passionate about it, it's racing demands the best out of us, and for us achieving our best form, and having fun and being out there is for the soul, and it's good to tap into both spirits there, because when I go on runs by myself and I get a sneaky ride from somebody and I'm out there by myself and with nobody around and nobody to like, look, oh, he's there, oh, he's back, oh, I gotta push, bro, it's one of the most beautiful feelings,
Yeah. Yeah. I remember with canoe paddling, after like the Kanaka, like a state race or something, or M2M, I remember, and you're like, gosh, okay, I'm not doing M2O this year, so is that it? And reflecting on the whole season, it's like a lot of the time, the thing I enjoyed the most was just the day to day, like getting out there, And I think having listened to different paddlers and athletes talk about their experience of leading up to an event, a lot of times it's sure, we sign up for these races and events for a reason and we want to push ourselves, but it's like in the process a lot of the time that where the gold is, and I like looking back on music, it was stressful sometimes, having some of these gigs or performances that you had to put a lot of time into leading up towards, but if it wasn't for that, the performance level probably wouldn't, the fitness level, all these kind of personal achievements probably wouldn't have been hit if you didn't sign up or didn't kind of set some of these goals for yourself. So
that's what it is, man. It's going back to that cliche saying, like, growth happens outside of your comfort zone, and the way you do that is giving yourself goals and things to strive for.
Right. I had this professor, he probably won't listen to this, maybe I'll tell him, but in college, his music professor, like, unreal guy, this guy Eugene Novotny, and he had all these, like, every time he spoke, it was like gold. There was some kind of story or some kind of lesson in what he was about to share with us, and I still remember this time he said he went to see some youth band perform, and they were just like unreal, and he talked to the music director. He was like, how did you get these young kids to like play at this level? And his response was, the way he shared it with us was like real, like, straightforward and funny. It was just like, oh, easy, bro, just give him a deadline. No, and it's true. It's like without a deadline, and not to get too philosophical, but it's like, if you look at different religions, and it's like I haven't studied all religions, but I've studied a few, and like a common theme is focusing on impermanence, or focusing on depth. And when you do that, it kind of like changes things. We do for a little while and we're like, oh shoot, like, and then you kind of slip out of it. But by having this constant deadline in mind, it really keeps you on track and focused, and makes you, I think, a lot more disciplined and accountable, and you spend your time a little better usually. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so yeah, it's funny, by putting deadlines on ourselves, like we don't want to, but a lot of times
deadlines
that's
are goals. Yeah, pretty much.
Anyway.
Yeah, man, stoked. Well, we'll see. We're pretty early in the season. It's middle of April, May, June, July. We got some races coming up, but I'm stoked for you, man. As one of my best friends since literally since childhood, and to see you grow in the sport, and grow into racing. Not necessarily that's important, but just I'm not excited for your results, but I'm excited for your growth to try and meet that deadline. And yeah, man, this is Buttako, you know. He's a hammer, and I'm stoked for you, bro, and excited to see, you know, where foiling takes us in racing, or just keeping us healthy and happy. And you know, I hope to be foiling my whole life, you know, and be the Jeff Chang, you know. And so we got lots of
John Hearn, yeah.
and John Hearn, lots of offshore investments to make, and it's gonna be a beautiful payout. So
Roger.
stoked, bro. Any last words?
Shoot. Yeah, no, just yeah, bro. Mahalo for. Bro, I didn't even seem like it was that long ago that we were just trying to get a. Hey, can I sample your 120? Can I sample your 170? And like how deep in the game you are at this now. But bro, you've been super inclusive to a lot of people, and yeah, it's really nice to see. This group that we have, and a lot of it wouldn't be what it is if it wasn't for you, bro. So yeah, we're all super grateful for your contribution to the sport, specifically the whole downwind foiling scene. And yeah, thank you, Jeff Chang, Wet Feet, for me and Sim. I mean, for almost everybody doing this, like, been super supportive. And about a year ago, I started riding as an ambassador with Code, so mahalo you guys for helping me out a little bit, and super grateful and stoked. I've been really enjoying the Code foil gear, and yeah, just all you guys in the local scene for the rides, and yeah, just helping each other grow at this discipline.
Yeah.
Roger.
Roger, right on, Kip. Excellent chat, bro.